I'm saving all my love in jail for you.
It is Rock and Roll Friday on the Savage Nation. There's a lot of bad news, and there's a lot of good news. And some of the good news is that the biggest corruption in the last 50 years in America, the ACORN scandal, was broken by Andrew Breitbart, and fundamentally they've been defunded, even though Nancy Pelosi never heard of them. They've been defunded. Joining us now is the man behind it all, Andrew Breitbart from BigGovernment.com. Andrew, proud to have you on the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Michael Savage.
Now, you don't want to take credit for this, but honestly, I mean, I know the two young people are the ones who went into the ACORN office, James O'Keefe, right? But isn't it your group, BigGovernment.com, that broke the story?
Yeah, Hannah Giles and James O'Keefe were far braver than I ever would be. I would never, at 40 years old, with the children that I have and the safe life that I have, go into the offices that they went into and endeavored, and their creativity and their conviction. And now that I know them, their purity of heart and their love for this country is represented in this video extravaganza that is not over yet. Not over yet.
So there's more to come on ACORN's misgivings?
Absolutely. We're juking them. We're playing them every step of the way. Wade Rathke was an Alinskyite, and we're using the tactics of Alinsky against the left here.
Now, what do you mean by that? What do you mean the tactics of Alinsky?
The rules for radicals, both Hannah, 20, and James, 25, are voracious readers on Saul Alinsky, have read far more than just rules for radicals, and realized, like many Americans have now that he's the president, that Barack Obama and the far left, including Hillary Clinton, who did a 93-page report for her thesis at Wellesley, are all students of Saul Alinsky, the radical, original community organizer, a person who his tactics have been to isolate your political enemy and attack them and keep them on their heels. And these conservatives in this country have not figured it out until 2009. It's a crime that we haven't figured out until now that this is what they've been doing to us.
Andrew, I don't mean to drag you into this, but I would say I've been isolated, wouldn't you?
No, I'm saying that those that have certainly know it. But it's amazing that the establishment conservative movement has allowed for them to do that and not fought back. They're playing by traditional Beltway rules. They're all dressed in their blue blazers with their red ties with their American flags and letting for people go out there and have to take risks like Hannah and James do, or like you do, or other people in the same line of work who end up being isolated and called every name in the book. They have lies thrown at them. It is trailblazers like Hannah and James who will...
Well, aren't they now facing a lawsuit from the state of Maryland for having violated the so-called rules of wiretapping or video? What are they? Aren't they getting attacked now by the state of Maryland?
Isn't it lovely that all these threats have come out since the beginning and none of them have been actualized? Do you think... I'll tell you something about the Maryland accusation that they were going to go after Hannah and James and me, is that the person who the attorney, the city attorney, I believe, of Baltimore, who did that, ran on the premise, on the platform of child abuse and trying to stop child abuse. So this woman is trying to thwart this growing investigation into how ACORN works and how it would not just aid and abet an underage El Salvadoran prostitution ring, but underneath that salacious ridiculousness, they were very competent individuals at aiding and abetting criminal activity as a means to allow for the lower class to rig the system for their benefit. And that is the underlying story of that nobody is talking about. The left.
But, Andrew, you brought... Wait a minute. Let me go back. This is the biggest corruption scandal in 50 years, in half a century in this country. I don't know of a bigger one. You'd have to go back to the Teapot Dome scandal to come to something like this. In many ways, this is worse because it rigged votes. How come you were able... How did it happen that Congress acted to defund them so rapidly?
Well, the strategy was telegraphed in my column a week ago, Monday, 4 days before the first video occurred. I needed to lay down that this is what was happening, that this was the path that we had endeavored to take, because when James and Hannah came to me and showed me these videos, I realized that the mainstream media, if you were to hand them this, would bury it. And if you were
absolutely,
and if they were to put it on YouTube, YouTube would have immediately taken it down, and the lawyers would have overwhelmed these penniless, artists/journalists. And so when they found me, and I'm not that religious person, Michael, I must say I felt that there was divine intervention, because my greatest strength is understanding the mainstream media and how it works, and we devised a strategy to force them, and quite frankly, to shame them into covering this story.
Well, you've done a great job. Now, for the people who don't know what we're talking about the ACORN scandal, the undercover operation done by these two young brave people, as published by Andrew Breitbart on his great website, biggovernment.com. And what the ramifications have been that Congress acted in an unprecedented manner to defund them. And how did that happen, though, Andrew? I have to repeat it. Nancy Pelosi, during her crying jag, said she didn't even know about ACORN. Do you remember that one?
Well, that was the whole point, is that with the Van Jones scandal had just happened the week before, and the premise of my column was to say, mainstream media, you didn't pay attention to the Van Jones story until the AP News alert hit, and we found out that this guy mysteriously resigned from his position as an unaccountable czar, controlling billions of dollars, going to billions of non-existent green jobs. How is it that you are now reporting this with a straight face when you did none of the original reporting? It was obvious that we needed to put the media in check here, and to not feed them any information that could then go back to the ACORN people and political operatives who would then wage a campaign to destroy the messenger.
All right, hold on. We're almost out of time. Andrew Breitbart's going to be with us over the top of the next hour. He's the Pulitzer of our time. He is the real journalism. He's the journalist that journalists would like to be. He is Andrew Breitbart at biggovernment.com. He's the man that everyone looks to for leadership in the media today. Right here on the Savage Nation when I return. Savage. We also began our interview with the Pulitzer of our time, Andrew Breitbart, who really broke the ACORN case wide open. He rejoins us right now on the Savage Nation. Andrew Breitbart from biggovernment.com. Welcome to the Savage Nation.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. And by the way, Andrew, let me ask you something. These two young people, you say they're poor. They don't make any money with this. How do they get funded?
Well, according to ACORN, it was a $100 million operation by the Fox News Network. But in reality, as you will see at the end of this, we're going to put up the receipts, including Subway sandwich receipts. This cost about $1,300.
I had lunch at Subway today. What a bargain. I had a foot-long sandwich, a turkey myself. I had a power lunch by myself. But so they did this on their own. What are they living on?
Well, they are now comfortably working for biggovernment.com. I don't go to the J schools of the country. I don't go to Columbia or Missouri or Northwestern to find my reporters. These people were hired the second that I saw them.
No, Andrew, the reason I'm asking is, look, I've given some money away this year to the Widows and Orphans Association of the Highway Patrol, Elephant Fund, the Gorilla Fund, and others, and I'm putting them up on the website. If you have a nonprofit that could fund them in some way, would you let me and my listeners know? I'll be glad to make a contribution.
We're working on so many different angles. Legal defense fund, if they decide to sue. But you notice that they're throwing out a lot of accusations, official accusations, that the mainstream media is willing to trumpet, willing to threaten them with lawsuits and to come down hard on them. And every time the statement comes out from ACORN, the next day it's proved to be true when we issue a new video.
Okay, is ACORN finished? We read they're defunded, but they're not really going away, are they?
No, they're going to go away. They're going to go away because American people are going to see. We are going to be relentless in showing you what these people are about. We're going to report to you what their own manual says. People are coming out of the woodworks because they're fearful. The left's tactics of causing the whistleblowers to know that they're going to be attacked by ABC, CBS, and NBC. And the CNNs of the world, we created a means by which we could isolate those networks and put them under scrutiny. They're the ones. The American people are seeing that it took till Tuesday night, 4 days into the scandal, that we saw Katie Couric weigh in, and ultimately the nail in ACORN's coffin was when Jon Stewart, the ultimate liberal apologist, put his hand into his head, into his hands, and just could not make a joke that made Hannah and James look out to be the bad guy. Last night, Jay Leno did the same thing. They can continue to try and demonize these two people, but the American people, probably at about an 80% clip, look at them as American heroes. And if you knew these people, if you knew how decent they were and how fresh-faced they were.
Andrew, I want to meet them. When I come down to L.A. next time, are you going to introduce me so I can take them to dinner?